Right now, as you listen to these words, someone somewhere is experiencing unbearable pain. A mother watches helplessly as disease ravages her child. A man sits alone, crushed by the weight of loneliness. A woman lies awake at 3 a.m, consumed by anxiety about a future she cannot control. And if we're honest, you know this pain too. Maybe not in those exact forms, but you know what it feels like when life doesn't go the way you want. When relationships fall apart. When your body betrays you. When success feels empty. When happiness slips through your fingers no matter how tightly you grasp. This is the human condition. This is what we all share. Across every culture, every time period, every circumstance. We suffer. And for 2,500 years, humanity has wrestled with the same fundamental questions. Why do we suffer? Is suffering inevitable? And if there's a way to end it, what is that way? 2.5 millennia ago, a man sat beneath a tree and vowed not to rise until he understood the truth about suffering. His name was Siddhartha Gautama. And what he discovered that night changed the course of human consciousness. He didn't discover a belief system. He didn't create a religion. He didn't channel divine revelation. He simply looked directly at the nature of suffering with perfect clarity and saw the truth. What he saw was both devastating and liberating. Devastating because it revealed that most of our suffering is self-created, born from fundamental misunderstandings about reality. Liberating because if we create our own suffering through misunderstanding, then we can end it through understanding. This is not philosophy. This is not theology. This is practical psychology, tested and refined over thousands of years by millions of practitioners. And today, we're going to explore the complete Buddhist teaching on suffering, not as abstract doctrine, but as a roadmap for your actual life. By the end of this journey, you will understand exactly why you suffer, and exactly what you can do to stop. Let's begin with the truth that shocked the world. Chapter 1, the first noble truth, life is suffering. The Buddha's first teaching after his enlightenment was radical. He didn't begin with hope. He didn't start with comfort. He began with a statement so stark that many people reject it immediately. Life is suffering. In the original Pali language, the word is dukkha, and this single word contains the entire diagnosis of the human condition. But here's what's crucial. Dukkha doesn't just mean intense pain or agony. It's far more subtle and pervasive than that. Dukkha means unsatisfactoriness, dissatisfaction. The quality of experience that is imperfect, incomplete, unable to provide lasting satisfaction. Let me show you what this means in your actual life. The 3 forms of suffering Buddhism identifies 3 distinct types of dukkha, and recognizing them is the first step toward freedom. First, the suffering of suffering. This is obvious suffering. Physical pain, illness, injury, the death of loved ones, grief, depression, anxiety, trauma. When your body is broken, that's dukkha. When your heart is shattered, that's dukkha. When your mind is tormented, that's dukkha. No one debates this form of suffering. Everyone recognizes it immediately. But Buddhism goes deeper. Second, the suffering of change. This is the suffering hidden inside pleasure. Wait, suffering inside pleasure? How is that possible? Think about your favorite meal. The first few bites are exquisite, wonderful, satisfying. But if you keep eating, eventually it becomes neutral, then uncomfortable, then painful if you continue. The pleasure itself contains the seeds of suffering because pleasure is impermanent. It arises, peaks, and inevitably fades. Every moment of happiness contains an expiration date. That vacation you looked forward to for months, it ends. That relationship that felt like it would last forever, it changes. That achievement you worked years for, the satisfaction fades within weeks. This isn't pessimism. This is simply observing what's true. All pleasurable experiences are temporary. And the very fact of their temporariness, the knowing that this good feeling will end, creates a subtle undercurrent of unease. You're happy, but you're also aware that this happiness won't last. You're enjoying something, but you're also bracing for its inevitable loss. This is the suffering of change. Third, the suffering of conditioned existence. This is the most subtle and most profound form of dukkha. It's the suffering inherent in simply being a self in a body moving through time. Your body requires constant maintenance, feeding, cleaning, resting, temperature regulation. Your mind requires constant management, the endless stream of thoughts, desires, fears, memories. Your life requires constant effort, working, planning, protecting, maintaining. Even when nothing is actively wrong, there's a baseline sense of incompleteness, a vague feeling that something is missing, a restlessness that drives you to constantly seek the next thing, an inability to simply be fully at peace with nothing lacking. This is what the Buddha called the suffering of conditioned existence, the inherent unsatisfactoriness of being a separate self in a changing world. Why this truth matters now, you might be thinking. This is depressing. Why focus on suffering? Why not focus on the positive? Here's why. You cannot solve a problem you don't acknowledge. Imagine you're sick. Would you rather have a doctor who says, everything's fine, think positive, while your condition worsens? Or would you rather have a doctor who accurately diagnoses the illness so it can be treated? The Buddha was like a physician. His first noble truth is the diagnosis. And the diagnosis is this. Suffering is not an accident. It's not punishment. It's not random bad luck. Suffering is a natural consequence of how we relate to reality. We suffer because we misunderstand the nature of existence. And that misunderstanding manifests as suffering in our lived experience. The pervasiveness of dukkha. Look at your own life honestly. How much of your time is spent in genuine, uncomplicated contentment? Not distraction, not numbing, not chasing the next thing, but actual, deep satisfaction with what is. For most people, the answer is very little. Most of your time is spent wanting things you don't have, trying to keep things you have, avoiding things you fear, regretting things that happened, worrying about things that might happen. Even your pleasures are tinged with dukkha. You enjoy something, but worry it will end. You achieve something, but immediately want more. You experience happiness, but compare it to others or to your expectations. You have good experiences, but they never quite match your imagination. This is the truth the Buddha saw. Dukkha pervades conditioned existence, not because life is only suffering, but because the very structure of how we engage with life creates dissatisfaction. The good news? Understanding this is the first step toward freedom. Because if suffering arises from how we relate to reality, then changing that relationship changes everything. Chapter 2. The second noble truth, the origin of suffering. So, we've established that suffering exists and is pervasive. The next question is obvious. Why? Why do we suffer? What causes this endless dissatisfaction? The Buddha's second noble truth answers this question with stunning precision. Suffering arises from craving and attachment. In Pali, the word is tanha, literally meaning thirst. And just like physical thirst drives you to desperately seek water, psychological tanha drives you to desperately seek experiences, objects, states, and conditions you believe will satisfy you. But here's the problem. The thirst can never be permanently quenched. Let me show you exactly how this mechanism works. The 3 types of craving. Buddhism identifies 3 fundamental forms of tanha, and all suffering traces back to one of these 3. First, craving for sensual pleasure. Kama tanha. This is the desire for pleasant experiences through the senses. Delicious food, physical pleasure, beautiful sights, pleasant sounds, comfortable sensations. There's nothing wrong with these experiences themselves. The problem is the craving, the belief that these experiences will provide lasting satisfaction. Watch what happens. You're hungry, you crave food, you eat. The craving is satisfied, temporarily. But a few hours later, the craving returns. And it will return every few hours for your entire life. You're lonely. You crave connection. You find a relationship. The craving is satisfied. Temporarily. But the relationship changes, or ends, or fails to meet all your expectations. And the craving returns. You're bored. You crave stimulation. You find entertainment. The craving is satisfied. Temporarily. But as soon as the entertainment ends, you need more. The craving returns. See the pattern? Sensual pleasure is impermanent. It provides temporary satisfaction but cannot provide lasting fulfillment. Yet we spend our entire lives chasing one temporary satisfaction after another, like someone trying to drink from a mirage. Second, craving for existence. Bhava tanha. This is the desire to become something, to be something, to establish a lasting identity. I want to be successful. I want to be loved. I want to be important. I want to be recognized. I want to be right. This craving drives ambition, achievement, seeking, identity building, and the endless pursuit of self-improvement. Again, there's nothing wrong with growth or achievement. The problem is the craving, the belief that becoming something will finally make you complete. But here's what actually happens. You achieve the goal. You become what you wanted to become. And for a brief moment, you feel satisfied. Then one of 3 things happens. The satisfaction fades, and you need a new goal to feel that sense of becoming again. You achieve it, but it doesn't feel like you imagined, so you set a bigger goal. You achieve it, but immediately fear losing it. So all your energy goes into maintaining what you've become. Either way, the craving continues. You're never quite there, never quite complete. always becoming, never being. This is the treadmill of existence, and it's exhausting. Third, craving for non-existence. Vibhava, tanha. This is the desire for certain experiences, states, or aspects of yourself to cease existing. I want this pain to stop. I want this anxiety to go away. I want these thoughts to disappear. I want this situation to end. In extreme forms, this becomes the desire for annihilation, not wanting to exist at all. This craving manifests as avoidance, escapism, numbing, and denial. You don't want to feel something, so you distract yourself endlessly numb with substances or behaviors, avoid situations that trigger discomfort, deny or suppress what's actually present. But here's the cruel irony. The more you crave non-existence of something, the more present it becomes. Try this right now. For the next 10 seconds, do not think about a pink elephant. What happened? The pink elephant appeared immediately, right? This is how the craving for non-existence works. The very act of wanting something to go away strengthens its presence. You want anxiety to disappear, so you fight it, which creates more anxiety. You want painful memories to vanish, so you suppress them, which gives them more power. You want uncomfortable feelings to stop, so you avoid them, which ensures they return stronger. The mechanism of suffering now, let's understand exactly how craving creates suffering. It's simple but profound. Craving creates suffering by setting up a constant gap between what is and what you want to be. When reality matches your craving, you experience temporary satisfaction. But reality is constantly changing. So the match is temporary, and the gap reopens. Moreover, even when you get what you crave, you fear losing it. Suffering. You want more of it. Suffering. It doesn't fully satisfy like you imagined. Suffering. It changes or ends. Suffering. And when you don't get what you crave, you feel frustrated. Suffering. You feel inadequate. Suffering. You keep chasing. Suffering. You experience lack. Suffering. The craving itself is the problem. Not whether it's fulfilled or not. The role of ignorance. But craving isn't the ultimate root. There's something even deeper. Craving arises from ignorance, from fundamental misunderstanding about reality. Specifically, 3 delusions. Delusion 1. Permanence. We believe things are permanent when they're actually impermanent. We believe our youth will last, so we're shocked by aging. We believe relationships will stay the same, so we're devastated when they change. We believe our circumstances are stable, so we're shattered when they shift. This delusion makes us grasp at things as if we can freeze them in place. And the grasping creates suffering when the inevitable change occurs. Delusion 2. Separate self. We believe we are a solid, separate, independent self when we're actually a fluid, interconnected process. You think, I am this body, but your body is completely different from what it was 10 years ago. You think, I am my thoughts, but your thoughts are constantly changing. You think, I am my identity, but your identity has shifted countless times. This delusion creates the entire ego structure. And the ego, being a fiction, requires constant maintenance, constant defending, constant proving, all of which creates suffering. Delusion 3. Satisfactory nature. We believe that conditioned, impermanent things can provide lasting satisfaction when they fundamentally cannot. We keep expecting the next achievement, relationship, possession, or experience to finally complete us. But nothing conditioned can satisfy the unconditioned longing for wholeness. It's like trying to fill a cup that has no bottom. You can pour endlessly, but it will never be full. The chain of dependent origination. The Buddha described how ignorance leads to suffering through a chain of causation. Ignorance, mental formations, consciousness, mind, and body. 6 senses, contact, feeling, craving, clinging. Becoming, birth, aging, and death. Each link conditions the next, and the chain keeps spinning, creating endless suffering. But here's the crucial insight. This chain can be broken. If ignorance is the root, then wisdom can cut the root. If craving is the mechanism, then non-craving can stop the mechanism. And that brings us to the most important teaching of all. Chapter 3. The third noble truth. The cessation of suffering. After diagnosing the problem and identifying its cause, the Buddha made a revolutionary claim. Suffering can end. Completely. Permanently. This is the third noble truth. The cessation of suffering is possible. In Pali, this is called nirodha. Cessation, ending, extinguishing. And the state of complete cessation is called nirvana. What nirvana actually means? Let's clear up the biggest misunderstanding immediately. Nirvana does not mean going to heaven after death, becoming nothing, escaping the world, entering some blissful trance state, losing all feeling or emotion. Nirvana literally means extinguishing, like a flame going out. But what's extinguished is not you. It's the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion. It's the extinguishing of craving, the extinguishing of clinging, the extinguishing of the illusion of separate self. What remains is reality as it is, experienced without distortion. The possibility of freedom. The third noble truth is essentially saying, your natural state is peace. Suffering is not fundamental to your being. It's something added on top through ignorance and craving. Remove the ignorance and craving, and suffering falls away naturally. Like the sun is always shining, clouds may obscure it, but removing the clouds reveals what was always there. Your fundamental nature is already free, already whole, already at peace. Suffering is like a nightmare. It feels absolutely real while you're in it. But it's ultimately based on misperception. When you wake up from the nightmare, you realize, that was never real. I was always safe. I was always here. Enlightenment is waking up from the nightmare of separate selfhood. The characteristics of Nirvana Buddhism describes Nirvana through what it's not, because it transcends conceptual understanding. It is the unconditioned, not dependent on any cause. It is the unborn, not created. It is the deathless, not subject to ending. It is peace. Beyond all disturbance, it is freedom beyond all bondage. But what does this mean practically? A person who has realized Nirvana still lives in the world, still has a body, still has experiences. But their relationship to experience is completely transformed. They experience things fully without clinging to them. Pleasure arises, they experience it fully, without grasping. Pain arises, they experience it fully, without aversion. Neutral experiences arise, they experience them fully, without boredom. They act without the delusion of separate self. They see clearly that all beings are interconnected. They act compassionately because there's no separation between self and other. They respond to the needs of the moment without ego investment. They live without fear. When you realize there's no separate self to protect, what is there to fear? The body will age and die, but you're not the body. Thoughts and feelings arise and pass, but you're not the thoughts and feelings. Circumstances change constantly, but you're not the circumstances. They experience equanimity, not indifference, not numbness, but a deep stability that's not shaken by changing conditions. They can feel joy without clinging to it. They can feel sadness without being destroyed by it. They remain centered regardless of what arises. Levels of awakening Buddhism recognizes that awakening isn't necessarily all or nothing. There are different levels of realization. Stream entry. The first glimpse of truth. You see through the illusion of separate self, even if only for a moment. This permanently changes your trajectory. You've entered the stream that leads to full awakening. Once returner. Deeper realization, greed, hatred, and delusion are significantly weakened. You might return to one more human life before full liberation. Non-returner. Even deeper. Sensual desire and ill will are completely eliminated. You will not return to human existence. Arahant. Full enlightenment. All 10 fetters are broken. Complete cessation of suffering. Total liberation. But here's what matters for you right now. Even partial awakening transforms your life profoundly. Even glimpsing the truth for a moment creates irreversible change. Even weakening the grip of craving reduces suffering dramatically. You don't have to become fully enlightened tomorrow to benefit from this path. The promise. The third noble truth is Buddhism's great promise. Freedom is possible. You are not condemned to endless suffering. There is a way out. Not through achieving something. Not through becoming something. Not through acquiring something. But through seeing clearly. Through understanding. Through letting go. The cage door has always been open. You just didn't know you could walk through. And that brings us to the most practical teaching. How exactly do you walk through that door? Chapter 4. The fourth noble truth. The path to the cessation of suffering. The Buddha's fourth noble truth is the solution, the medicine, the practical path. It's called the Noble Eightfold Path. And it's not a linear progression. It's 8 aspects of practice that work together, support each other, and collectively transform your entire relationship with reality. Think of it like 8 spokes on a wheel. All are necessary. All work together. And together, they create movement toward liberation. Let's explore each one in depth. Part 1. Right view. Right view is the foundation of the entire path. It means seeing reality as it actually is, rather than through the distorted lens of ignorance. What right view includes: understanding the 4 noble truths. You must clearly see that suffering exists, understand its cause, know that cessation is possible, and commit to the path. This isn't intellectual knowledge. It's direct seeing. Understanding karma actions have consequences, not as cosmic punishment, but as natural cause and effect. Harmful actions lead to suffering, for yourself and others. Beneficial actions lead to well-being, for yourself and others. This isn't moralism, it's pragmatism. Understanding impermanence, everything conditioned is impermanent. Everything that arises will pass. Your body is impermanent. Your thoughts are impermanent. Your circumstances are impermanent. All phenomena are impermanent. When you truly see this, clinging naturally weakens. Understanding non-self. There is no permanent, unchanging, separate self. What you call I is a constantly changing process of body, sensations, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. There's no solid entity at the center. There's just the flow. When you see this clearly, the ego's grip loosens. Understanding suffering's nature, all conditioned existence is inherently unsatisfactory. Not because life is terrible, but because seeking lasting satisfaction in impermanent conditions is inherently frustrating. How to cultivate right view. Study these teachings deeply. Contemplate them. Test them against your experience. Notice impermanence constantly. This feeling will change. This thought will pass. This situation will shift. Investigate your experience. What actually is a self? Can you find it? Where is it located? Observe cause and effect. Notice how certain mental states lead to suffering, while others lead to peace. Right view isn't something you believe. It's something you see, and seeing changes everything. Part 2. Right intention. Right intention is about the quality of your heart and mind. It's the direction you point your life, the values that guide your choices. 3 aspects of right intention. The intention of renunciation. Not renunciation of the world, but renunciation of craving. The intention to let go of grasping. The willingness to release what binds you. The commitment to stop seeking happiness through acquisition and instead find it through understanding. This doesn't mean you can't enjoy things. It means you don't need them for your well-being. The intention of goodwill. The sincere wish for the well-being of all beings, including yourself. Not fake positivity, not forced niceness, but genuine care. This naturally arises when you see clearly. There is no fundamental separation between self and other. When others suffer, you suffer. When others flourish, you flourish. Goodwill isn't a moral imperative. It's a recognition of truth. The intention of harmlessness. The commitment to cause no unnecessary harm through your actions, speech, or thoughts. Again, this isn't moralism, it's wisdom. Causing harm creates suffering, for others and for yourself. The mind that harms is an agitated mind. The mind that's harmless is a peaceful mind. How to cultivate right intention. Regularly examine your motivations. Why am I doing this? What's driving this choice? Notice when you're acting from craving versus wisdom. Set clear intentions each day. Today, I intend to practice letting go. Today, I intend to act with kindness. Today, I intend to cause no harm. Loving kindness meditation. Systematically cultivate goodwill toward yourself, loved ones, neutral people, difficult people, and all beings. Right. Intention purifies the heart. It aligns your life with truth rather than delusion. Part 3. Right speech. Right speech is where practice becomes tangible in the world. Your words have power. They can heal or harm. They can create clarity or confusion. 4 aspects of right speech. Abstaining from false speech, tell the truth. But not just avoiding lies, speaking accurately. Notice how often you exaggerate, distort, or speak carelessly. Notice how lying creates inner tension. The truth creates ease. Abstaining from divisive speech, don't speak in ways that create division, enmity, or conflict. Gossip, manipulation. Speaking differently to different people to create division. This doesn't mean avoiding necessary difficult conversations. It means not creating unnecessary harm through your words. Abstaining from harsh speech, speak kindly. Not weakly, but without cruelty. You can be direct, honest, and clear without being harsh. Notice how harsh speech agitates your own mind even more than the recipient's. Abstaining from idle chatter, speak purposefully. Not obsessively monitored, but with awareness. Notice how much you speak just to fill silence, to impress, to avoid discomfort. What if you only spoke when you had something worth saying? How to cultivate right speech. Before speaking, ask, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Practice silence periodically. Notice the impulse to speak without acting on it. Listen more than you talk. Really listen, without planning your response. Notice the quality of your mind before, during, and after different types of speech. Right speech creates trust, reduces conflict, and keeps your mind clear. Part 4. Right action. Right action extends the practice into your physical behavior. 5 precepts of right action. Abstaining from killing, respect for life. Not harming living beings. At minimum, don't kill other humans. More deeply, Don't kill any sentient being unnecessarily. Most deeply, recognize the life force in all things and act accordingly. This naturally arises from seeing interconnectedness. Abstaining from stealing. Don't take what's not freely given, beyond obvious theft, cheating, fraud, taking more than your share. This is about respecting boundaries and recognizing that grasping creates suffering. Abstaining from sexual misconduct, sexual behavior that causes harm through betrayal, manipulation, or violation. The principle: don't use sexuality in ways that create suffering. Abstaining from intoxication, substances that cloud awareness and lead to heedlessness. This isn't Puritanism, it's practical. The path requires clarity. Intoxication creates confusion. Some interpret this strictly: no alcohol ever. Some interpret it moderately: no intoxication, but mindful use is acceptable. The key question: does this increase or decrease your clarity? Abstaining from wrong livelihood, sometimes included here. Don't earn your living through means that cause harm. Dealing in weapons, dealing in living beings, slavery, human trafficking. Dealing in meat. If you interpret the first precept strictly, dealing in intoxicants, dealing in poison. More broadly, ensure your livelihood aligns with your values and creates more good than harm. How to cultivate right action. Take the 5 precepts as guidelines. Commit to them formally if you wish. When you break them, and you will, notice the effect on your mind. Before acting, pause and check. Will this action create suffering or reduce suffering? Notice how harmful actions create immediate inner disturbance, even if there are no external consequences. Notice how harmless actions create peace, regardless of external reward. Right action creates integrity. Your inner values and outer behavior align. Part 5. Right livelihood. Right livelihood is about how you make your living. You spend most of your waking life working. If your work creates suffering, you're swimming upstream on the path. What right livelihood means: your work should not cause harm to yourself or others. Ideally, your work should contribute positively to the world. At minimum, your work should be neutral, not actively harmful. Wrong livelihood includes, as mentioned, weapons, slavery, intoxicants, poison. Some interpret meat, but also consider work that requires you to constantly lie or manipulate. Work that exploits vulnerable people. Work that damages the environment recklessly. Work that keeps you in constant stress and fear. Work that requires you to violate your values, the practical challenge. But I have bills to pay. I can't just quit my job. Buddhism recognizes this. The teaching is not, quit your job immediately if it's not perfect. The teaching is, move in the direction of right livelihood as you're able. Can you transition over time? Can you find ways to make your current work less harmful? Can you bring more awareness and compassion into your current role? How to cultivate right livelihood. Examine your current work honestly. What harm does it create? What good? If your work is harmful, make a plan to transition when possible. If your work is neutral or beneficial, practice gratitude for the opportunity. Bring mindfulness into your work. Can you do your job with more awareness, more integrity, more kindness? Consider, if everyone did this work the way I do it, would the world be better or worse? Right livelihood ensures that your economic life supports rather than undermines your spiritual life. Part 6. Right effort. Right effort is the energy you bring to the path. This is not striving, not forcing, not exhausting yourself. It's balanced, wise effort. Persistent, but relaxed. 4 aspects of right effort. Preventing unwholesome states from arising. Guard the sense doors. Be aware of what you expose yourself to. If you constantly consume media that triggers greed, hatred, or delusion, you're making the path harder. This isn't about repression. It's about protection. Just like you wouldn't eat spoiled food, don't consume mental content that poisons your mind. Abandoning unwholesome states that have arisen. When greed arises, recognize it, understand it, let it go. When hatred arises, recognize it, understand it, let it go. When delusion arises, recognize it, understand it, let it go. Not by fighting, not by suppressing, but by clearly seeing and releasing. Cultivating wholesome states intentionally develop. Mindfulness, concentration. Compassion, equanimity. Wisdom, joy, tranquility. These states don't arise by accident. They require cultivation. Maintaining wholesome states that have arisen. When you experience peace, sustain it. When clarity arises, rest in it. When compassion flows, let it continue. Don't take these states for granted. Nurture them. The middle way of effort. The Buddha used the metaphor of tuning a stringed instrument. Too tight, the string breaks. Too loose, it won't play. Just right, beautiful music. Your effort should be like this. Consistent, but not forced. Dedicated, but not obsessed. Committed, but not rigid. How to cultivate right effort. Establish a daily practice routine. Make it sustainable, not heroic. Notice when you're striving versus when you're flowing. When you feel resistant, investigate. Is this laziness, or is this wisdom saying, rest now? When you feel driven, investigate. Is this dedication, or is this craving for attainment? Balance effort with surrender. Work with reality, not against it. Right effort keeps you moving on the path without burning out. Part 7. Right mindfulness. Right? Mindfulness is the heart of Buddhist practice. It's the quality of clear, present awareness that sees things as they are. 4 foundations of mindfulness. Mindfulness of body awareness of physical sensations, breath, posture, movement. Not thinking about the body. Directly feeling the body. This grounds you in present reality. The body is always here, always now. Practice. Body scan meditation. Walking meditation. Mindful movement. Throughout the day, notice. What sensations are present right now? Mindfulness of feelings awareness of the hedonic tone of experience. Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Not the complex emotions, that's next. Just the basic feeling tone. This is crucial, because craving arises in response to feeling tone. Pleasant grasping, trying to keep it. Unpleasant aversion, trying to get rid of it. Neutral ignoring or seeking stimulation. When you're aware of feeling tone, you can catch the craving before it solidifies. Practice. Notice the feeling tone of each experience throughout the day. This sound, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This thought, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This sensation, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Mindfulness of mind awareness of mental states as they arise. Not getting lost in them. Not identifying with them. Just observing. Anxiety is present. Joy is present. Boredom is present. Craving is present. The mind state is not you. It's a weather pattern moving through awareness. Practice. Throughout the day, check in. What's the quality of mind right now? Notice how it's constantly changing. This alone can weaken identification. Mindfulness of mental objects, awareness of the content of consciousness. Thoughts, images, beliefs, concepts. Again, not getting absorbed in them, observing them. A thought arises, I'm a failure. Without mindfulness, you believe it, elaborate on it, suffer from it. With mindfulness, you notice, a thought I'm a failure has appeared. The thought has no more reality than a cloud in the sky. Practice. Label thoughts as they arise. Thinking, planning, judging, remembering, fantasizing. This creates space between awareness and thought content. How mindfulness transforms suffering. Mindfulness creates a gap between stimulus and response. Something happens, you're aware of the reaction before acting on it, you can choose how to respond. Without mindfulness, event automatic reaction. Suffering. With mindfulness, event awareness of reaction. Wise response freedom. Mindfulness also reveals impermanence directly. When you watch your experience closely, you see everything arising and passing constantly. This direct seeing dissolves, clinging naturally. You can't cling to what you clearly see is already vanishing. Right, mindfulness is the flashlight that illuminates the path. Part 8. Right concentration. Right. Concentration is the development of deep, stable attention. It's the ability to rest the mind one-pointedly on an object without distraction. Why concentration matters. A scattered mind cannot see clearly. Concentration unifies the mind, making it powerful, stable, and capable of deep insight. It's like the difference between scattered sunlight, pleasant but not powerful, and focused sunlight through a magnifying glass, can start a fire. The development of concentration. Buddhism describes progressive stages of concentration called jhanas. First jhana. Mind settles on the meditation object. Discursive thinking quiets. Pleasant sensations arise. You experience joy and happiness born of seclusion from distractions. Second jhana. Even the subtle movement of directing attention settles. Deeper unity. Joy and happiness born of concentration itself. Third jhana. Joy fades. Profound equanimity and pleasant abiding remain. Fourth jhana. Even the pleasure is released. Pure equanimity and mindfulness. Complete mental clarity. Beyond these are even subtler formless jhanas, but these 4 are most commonly practiced. The purpose of concentration. Jhana practice is not the end goal, but it serves crucial functions. It proves that profound peace is possible. It temporarily suspends the defilements, giving you a vacation from greed, hatred, and delusion. It creates a powerful, stable mind capable of insight. It's a beautiful resting place when needed. 2 approaches. Some practitioners focus heavily on jhana practice, developing deep concentration first, then using that concentrated mind for insight. Others focus more on moment-to-moment mindfulness, developing lighter concentration naturally. Both are valid. Both lead to awakening. How to cultivate right concentration. Establish a consistent meditation practice. Choose a primary object, breath, body sensations, a visualization, a mantra. When the mind wanders, and it will, gently return to the object. No judgment. Over time, the mind naturally settles, like muddy water becoming clear when left undisturbed. Don't force concentration. Invite it. Create conditions for it. Be patient. Concentration develops gradually. The balance? Concentration alone is not liberation. A concentrated mind can still be deluded. Mindfulness alone is not enough. A scattered mind cannot penetrate deeply. You need both. Mindfulness to see clearly, and concentration to see deeply. Together, they create the conditions for wisdom to arise. Right concentration gives the mind the stability needed for liberation. Integration. How the path works together. These 8 factors are not steps. They're facets. They arise together, support each other, and grow together. Right view informs right intention. Right intention guides right speech, action, and livelihood. Right speech, action, and livelihood create conditions for right effort. Right effort supports right mindfulness and concentration. Right mindfulness and concentration deepen right view. It's a spiral, not a ladder. Each time around, you understand more deeply. Practice more skillfully. Suffer less. The gradual training. Buddhism recognizes this unfolds gradually. First, you refine your behavior, speech, action, livelihood. This creates a stable foundation. Then you develop your mind, effort, mindfulness, concentration. This creates the tool for investigation. Finally, wisdom arises. Right view and intention deepen. This creates liberation. But it's not rigid. Progress in one area supports progress in others. The promise. If you walk this path sincerely, suffering will diminish. Not overnight, not magically, but reliably. You'll catch yourself in reactive patterns earlier. You'll let go more easily. You'll see more clearly. You'll suffer less. And eventually, whether in this life or another, whether quickly or gradually, you'll wake up fully. You'll see that suffering was always optional, based on misunderstanding. And in that seeing, you'll be free. 2,500 years ago, a man sat beneath a tree and vowed to understand suffering. When he rose, he had discovered a truth that transcends culture, time, and circumstance. Suffering is real. We all know this. Suffering has a cause. Craving born of ignorance. Suffering can end. Complete liberation is possible. And there's a path to that ending. The Noble Eightfold Path. This is not belief. This is not hope. This is direct seeing. The Buddha's final words were, work out your own liberation with diligence. Not, believe what I say, but test it, practice it, see for yourself. So, I invite you to do exactly that. Take what resonates. Leave what doesn't. But don't just think about it. Practice it. Because the truth about suffering isn't found in words. It's found in your direct experience when you look clearly at what's actually happening. And when you see clearly enough, when you understand deeply enough, when you let go completely enough, suffering ends. Not because you escape life, but because you finally understand it. This is the Buddhist truth about why we suffer, and this is how to stop.